So I've got my Stamparatus. This is a card, just quick. This is the card that we're gonna create. So I'll just pop that off to the top of the screen. Actually, I could probably get it so you can see that. And then I've basically started, so with a standard C6 card, and I have layered it up, but I mean, I'll trim it down. I think the layers are 3 3/4 by 5.5 for the black layer. And then the white layer then would be 3.5 by 5 1/4. But I'll probably stamp this up and then just work out if it's the right size. We'll see once I've done it. I can't remember if I've trimmed this one down or not, but it's fine. Now, just to get you in the right kind of position, I've just got, when I die cut this out, I've just kind of kept the frame piece, and I can kind of just position that on the card. And this is only just so that you can, kind of get your stamps, more or less where you want them, because you do want it to stamp off onto the base card. And then because you do want a little bit to show once you've put the die cut, on the card. There is this little side bit. So it's a bit like that triple stamping idea, to be fair. It's very similar to that, only slightly more simple, I think. So I'm just kind of using this purely as a guide to myself to kind of think, yes, my stamps are going to be in the right position. I want a little bit down here and I want some at the side. So some at the side and here. Okay, so it's just to give me a rough, so I can position the stamps, but I've done that already. But just to show you how I've done that. So I'll put that off to one side, and what I'm going to do now is stamp this base card just with my black ink. So I'll come in, and as I say, I'm just using the framed florets, and I know a lot of you have got this one. It is a lovely one. I mean, there's quite a few different ones you could have used, but that is just a nice sort of shape, and it gives you a space for a sentiment and everything. So I kind of thought it was a good one to use. So I'll come over with that. I'll just come in with my little tool there. And then I'll just re-stamp that up, just a bit there. And I'll just keep stamping this until it looks like really good dark coverage. I haven't got the strength in my arms at the minute to really push down too hard, so I will just continue to layer up. And I'm just going to have to be careful, because when I did my sample, I got ink on my thumb, which I then transferred onto the cards, typical. Well, then I had to get my grey rubber out and take that off. All fun and games. So that's looking pretty good. Or maybe just a little bit on that flower there. That's a little, let's just redo that. So as I say, it's just more me with the strength at the minute. It's a bit of a struggle. So it's a godsend having the old stamping tool. So there we've got it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my little grids, and just so you can see, I'm going to just work out roughly where I need to be, because I'm going to remove the bottom bit, because I'm going to stamp this little arch now, and I just kind of need to give myself a little rough idea of where that needs to be. So I'm kind of just going to pop it down there. Oh, actually, that's good, because I've got one of the other stamp bits. Actually, that's probably a good idea. If you stamp onto the grid below you, you'll know exactly where you need to be. So I can pop that down. And I do want a little bit of the flower to be off, so I want a little frame there and a little frame on the left and the right. And I'll just stick my magnet down there. Actually, one might be enough. Let's just see if that'll hold. Maybe one across the top there. We'll need to be just very careful, because they're very, very strong magnets. Just see, will that be able? Yeah, that looks good. And I'll probably have to do this a few times. Let's just see how we go. So taking the ink to the stamp again, coming across, and then just And you want this to be really nice, like on the original, my sample here, it's a really lovely deep impression. So I want to be a little bit darker, I think. And to be honest, this part, when you look at this, it doesn't look like anything. You kind of think, oh, that's a bit meh. But it's only when you put it all together that you get this lovely effect. So just see if that's enough. So that's probably good enough, I think. Just mind those magnets. So I'm going to just make sure I haven't got any pinky fingers and take that off. And then that's what's going to get lined up on there. And it's when you put them together that it really pops. Okay, so when you look at that, you think, oh, that's nothing. And when you look at that, it's just, yeah, it's a nice stamp. But when you actually put them both together, it's like, that's when you get the little wow moment. So what you do next is you take a blank one, and we just want to give a little bit of depth. So I'm going to stick these two together. Okay, so literally just get your glue, and I'm using a wet glue because it'll be good for wiggle room. So I'm just going to pop glue onto this one, and I'm going to take a minute to do this properly. So I'm going to just kind of do glue along here, but I'll have to be careful because I don't want it to splurge, but I just want to make sure I've got glue on all of it. So I'm going to glue those together. Okay, and that's really just to give a little bit of, I know it's only one layer, but it does make a difference when you put it on the card. It does make it a little bit more proud, because we are going to just stick this flat. And so it just gives that little bit of extra dimension, but it makes a huge difference. Okay, it does really make a pop. So it is worth doing that. So then I'm going to line these up. And again, I'm going to use wet glue because that will give me the wiggle room to make sure that I get them in the right area. And I'm going to just have a wee look before I even put any glue on, just to see where I've got like key areas where I can see that there's a definite sort of place where I can match it up. So particularly on the leaves and these larger flowers, and then on these larger flowers here, there's a lot of little lines and things here that I can very, very easily use as guides, particularly these two little points at the bottom here. I can kind of get those in place. That's a really good marker for me. So find your marker from your stamps so that you will, get an easy transition when you put this down onto the main card. So I'm going to just spend time making sure that I have got glue on this. And now comes and I'm going to hold it above and just work out where I need to be. So just there on that bottom bit and about there. And as I say, I have got the wiggle room. So I will just move it around a little bit. Just make sure that I don't expect that actually. And then I will just drop that down. And as I say, it's wet glue. And there you go. We've done it. And I'll just turn that over and just really put pressure on that now to make that stick. And then when I've turned it over, you've got this lovely finished card with that layered up. And then what I can do now is I'm just going to check what size this one is. So I'll pop this onto, I think this might be, yeah, I need to just bring this down to 5 1/4. So I'll just take that from the top And then I need to bring it into 3.5. So I'm just gonna take a bit off each side to get it down to that. Just might be a bit careful with that because it's quite close. That's all right. And then I'm going to layer that onto a piece of black card. So that would be 3 3/4 by 5.5. So that will go onto that. So I've got a nice border there. And then my card base, which I've just got here, just your standard C6. I always just cut them 8 by 5 3/4 and then scored at 4. I know it's slightly smaller than C6, but I just find for my layers it's the right size for me, because I think C6 is like you've got that 1/8, but I just tend to just take that 1/8 away because it just makes it all layer up just nice. Okay, so I'll just get my glue now, and I will get my big tub of glue for the bigger card. Not so intricate. Pop that down on, oops, Daisy. Okay, I've got the wet glue. Pop that on there. And then I'll get this and I will pop that down on there. And then you can just add your bling. Have some little bling on the table. And just pick up some. Doesn't want to play. Oh, I'm going to drop it on the table. Didn't want to play there at all. That's it. And then just pop one there. And then one there. And let's just see if we can get another one in there somewhere. Put one actually inside there. I'd actually go and have slightly bigger one. So I've just got 3 there. So it's always odd numbers with your bling. So just stick a big one up at the top there. And then another little one maybe down here. Just on the edge actually. So that's 5. Yeah, so just as long as you've odd, you could put sparkle or anything on that. And you could even color these. Obviously, I'm just keeping them black and white for simplicity, but you could add color. And so that was just 2 die cuts. And then your backing card. That's all that you need to do that technique.